Welcome back into the Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. We're here with Jordan Bailey. Jordan, welcome into the program.
Thanks for having me again.
It seems like it was just yesterday that we had a conversation on the podcast, but it was actually a year ago. I take that back. I'm not sure exactly when the podcast conversation was. That could have been a little less, a little more than a year ago. But almost to the day, we did have a conversation. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what it was about?
Karaoke.
No. I think that might have been in January, or that might have been in November. I feel, that wasn't Christmas time. I think we talked.
Did we talk again?
We talked somewhere in January or February about karaoke. I do remember that.
That's
for
what
sure.
I remember. Here, that's why I think I remember.
It wasn't in here. No, it was. And for those that are just listening, we are in the war room, kind of the film room here at the facility. Those that don't have the benefit of seeing where we are on the video version of it. But no, we had one other conversation. It was after a game, but it was almost to this day. As a matter of fact, I think it was on this day a year ago. Do you remember what that was about?
What was it about?
We were in Washington.
Okay.
Do you remember what happened?
We had 2 wins, and it was exciting.
But you specifically.
Oh, I scored. I had a good game in Washington.
At the end of the game.
What did I say?
You hit the game-winning shot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the one before that. Okay. I remember. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was a good tournament.
Yeah, you guys beat Washington, the Huskies.
And it was a really fun trip. It was a very fun trip.
Which, by the way, the Huskies are in the top 25 this year.
I saw that, yeah.
So they're having an outstanding year. But just let's reminisce a little bit. Let's take that walk down memory lane. Do you remember how things fell into place on that last shot?
I got a rebound. I was basically in the right spot, anticipation, I guess. And I got a rebound and put it back up. Was it overtime? Did we go to overtime or was it just the end of the game? It was the end of the game.
It was just the end of the game.
Yeah, it was kind of a scrappy, crazy game, but we pulled it out.
Do you remember who missed the first shot? Not that I'm trying to call out who missed the first shot, but I'm trying to put it back together in my head as well. I just remember your putback.
Was it Red? Or Maya?
I think it was.
I think it was Red.
I think now that you say that, because I think they set up a play, and then she came off of a screen.
I think it was her coming off a screen, and I floated in there.
Yeah.
Just to get it,
Yeah. So that was kind of fun a season ago. What's it going to take to get things back in that direction? Because it's been a little bit of a struggle at the start of the season.
It's been rocky for sure. That's a question I ask myself. It is hard. I would say nobody wants to be in these positions. I think it can be really good for you as people in terms of learning and growing, and especially I know I'm older and I'm at obviously my end of the road with basketball, but for so many of these girls, they have so much in front of them. So for them, it's such a learning opportunity. So I look at it as how do we get one step better every day? I don't think you can look at it in terms of how I need to be my best this next game, if that makes sense. You're not just going to go from terrible to great. So it has to be that process, and we can hope that we're playing our best basketball come March time. So that's how I look at it, is every day, can we get a step better?
And which really is all that matters.
Right.
I mean, not you don't want to lose any game.
Right.
And you don't want to have a losing record, but ultimately the goal is to get to the NCAA tournament. Right. And all that can be accomplished after
tournament. I mean, you just have to win Conference USA tournament to do that. So, I mean, obviously that's a tough challenge. I'm not saying that it's simple or easy challenge, but if you're playing your best basketball in the tournament, anyone can win those games. And so that's how I kind of look at it. Is, of course, it's rocky now, but we won't even look back and think of this if we can just get better one step at a time, and we're playing our best basketball by the tournament. So, of course, that's, like I said, I think easier said than done, but that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. So.
And even though you didn't get wins, you played teams like North Carolina and Texas and Louisville, and those were competitive games.
Right.
North Carolina was down, or North Carolina State, I should say, was down to the fourth quarter. Really,
Right.
could have gone either way.
Well, this team, I mean, all these freshmen coming in, this team, there's talent. There's no doubt that there's talent. It's just how do you piece it together? How do you play together? How do you play hard on every play? I beat myself up for a million things because, of course, I don't want to lose, and I get frustrated myself, like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not clicking? Or, that kind of thing. I think it's so frustrating, and nobody wants to be in that position. But like I said, I think if you can somehow be comfortable with what's uncomfortable and still get better every day, it's like, okay, what can God do with that? And even if it is a lesson, like, even if it's not a win as people, it's like, how can we learn, as people for whatever it is God has in store or however he's going to use us in this life. So
how have you, okay, let's go back to, I'm not sure what year it would have been. You're going to have to help me on that, because with COVID and 5 years and extra years and redshirt years, I don't remember exactly when. But when you first walked on Old Dominion's campus to now, your maturity level and your growth, how would you describe it?
A process for sure. I think basketball it definitely makes you get more, how would I say this? You get more serious faster about your passions and different things, because I think a regular student, you're coming in and you have school, but you don't have that performance in the back of your mind, like I have to perform or whatever it is that you're doing. I mean, yeah, of course, I'm not saying students don't have their challenges, but it's just a little bit different when you're just going to class and that's all you're really worried about. Or, yeah, maybe you have a job or something like that, and that might be your worries. I get it. But it is like, I think for this, like, young athletes, I always say they grow up and they attach their identity to performance. So for me, I think with basketball, like, from then to now, it's like how God breaks down your identity and reshapes it. Because for me, of course, when I'm coming in, I attach myself to, like, a game. It's just natural when you're doing that so much. You attach, like, who you are and different things like that. So I think now, as a senior, when it's like you're about to let it go, it's God reshaping, like, who you are in his eyes. And I think for me, that's where the growth comes from, because your perspective changes when you know who you are. And especially when you can look at this, I'm not saying it's easy. You can come to practice. I have my days where I'm just, like, frustrated and you can see it. But I think just learning, like, okay, Lord, how can I still be used by you in a way that's, like, regardless of the scores and those kind of things, or just how it's going for me personally, kind of learning that. And for, like, next stages of life, like preparation, it's like, how can my perspectives be most aligned with yours? That's kind of what I pray for. It's like, God, can you align my perspectives with yours? I want to understand things the way that you understand them, especially, like, in light of a game. So
over the years you've had, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know you were pretty close with Bridget when she was here.
Yes, sir.
And then she graduates.
She did.
And then you guys had some pretty extraordinary personalities in that locker room a season ago with Dee and Maya and Kennedy.
Some amazing personalities.
And then now they're gone. And so as the team has kind of evolved, has your personality changed any to kind of fill any of those voids?
I wouldn't say my personality's changed. I think we still have, I guess it's fun to see new personalities and how different people mesh with different people. I wouldn't say I've changed. It's definitely, how would I word it? We don't have as many loud, I would say, personalities, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, it's not a bad thing. I think it's great to have, like, boisterous and people who are outgoing. Like, I love that, but we just don't have as much of that. I'm, like, naturally I'm a mix. I can be laid back. I can be outgoing. I don't know. So I wouldn't say I've changed. You see new personalities rising and the team will change. Like, that's what's cool about it, is you can have a different dynamic.
And sometimes I guess with those different personalities, it brings out a different side of you. If you've got a D
That's
Brown in the
true.
room that's starting a sing along, it's hard to not all of a sudden find your singing
Right,
voice.
that is true. Right. So, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I have to think about that.
Well, when you get done with basketball and you write your book, you can kind of put all these
There you go.
aspects and concepts and psychologically, advanced thought processes into it.
Yeah.
So there you go. I'll be a consultant on your book.
Okay.
I only need 5%.
Okay. Okay.
And not even in advance, just whenever you get paid, just a little bit on the side.
I'll think about it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have our final segment and talk about the kind of the personal side of things. As you and I say this carefully, you can see the finish line, and what's next after Liberty basketball is done, and you get to you walk across the stage. Although I think I can't keep track of when you guys have gotten degrees, when you're getting master's degrees, when. I don't know. I think Maya left with a doctorate, didn't she? So I mean, I can never keep track of what you guys are doing. So we'll find out about that as well right after this quick timeout here on the Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. I don't know why I said show like that, but
It's just funny.
welcome back into this week's Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. We're with Jordan Bailey. Jordan, we were talking about basketball. Now let's talk about off the court. We'll quickly get through classes because I know that's a very important part of the student athlete experience, but we're also, for those that are maybe tuning into this down the road and they don't know what time of year it is, it's finals just ended.
It just ended. Woo.
Nobody wants to think about classes until January. You want to flush it. You want to just think a little bit more about basketball, and then you want to think about candy canes and pumpkin pie or or Christmas presents. That's all you want to think about. But just as a service to the listeners, remind everybody what you're majoring in and tell us how your semester went.
So I graduated with my undergrad, actually, my second year here. So I got a strategic communications degree and a minor in government at that time, and then now I'm in my MBA and only have a couple classes left. So master's in business administration.
Okay. So that's what I was saying before the break. I can never keep track of when, because in some of you guys, and you just said, I mean, you were 2 years here and you were already finished. And I know you had some that carried over when you came in, but you're taking summer classes and you're taking online classes.
You can get a lot. You can get a lot done. Like I could have squeezed in last year and tried to do my master's in a year if I really wanted to. I had the time to kind of space it out.
Gotcha.
So I kind of just chose to do that.
Might as well.
Yeah. And I didn't have like another degree I was really set on getting. Like Maya, I think she had a focus in accounting. So she was specific in accounting. So that's why she got like 2 different.
Right. So what's next? What's this degree going to turn into for you?
I mean, so I know my passions. I still love sports. I love the sports industry, like the sports world, ministry. I have a passion for things of the Lord, not obviously, but that's just my passion. I just talk about it, so I assume and then business, marketing, branding. I like all of those things, those concepts. So I'm trying to see where those all meet a middle ground and figure that out. But I don't have like a clear next thing, but I have passions and I am trying to network some and figure out what's next.
Well, there's a little bit of a diversity there between the communications degree and the business degree. I mean, those two certainly go hand in hand.
Right.
But you could also go in totally opposite directions with them as well.
Right.
You could, on the communication side, you could do anything from broadcasting to writing to...
Right, which I enjoy those different avenues. So I'm excited. I mean, it's something I'm in prayer about and asking for direction and doors to be open. But I'm also, I'm glad I definitely know the areas that I like. I just some of these areas aren't just black and white in terms of like, it's not like a nursing where you just find a hospital and if that makes sense. So it can look very unique or different. So,
well, I jokingly said about writing a book, but do you enjoy writing long form like that? So is that something you would want to do?
I enjoy writing. I do. I don't know what it would look like. I could see myself getting into that. Yeah, it's something I enjoy. But I don't know. Like I said, like it's hard to say like a specifically.
Is most of what you're writing now to yourself? Like journaling and diaries and...
Probably more about God. Like I'd like to journal.
Right. But it's something that very few other people see, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, few people see it, but I enjoy it and I like to, like I write to him almost and I enjoy that.
So that's a big step. When you've written things that only your eyes have seen or very few other humans have seen. Right. Now you're writing something that maybe thousands of people are going to see. That's a little bit of
it's a big step. I mean, that is something I'm trying to challenge myself with is vulnerability. I think vulnerability is powerful and people, even like with my journey in sports and just the rockiness or the hardships that I've had with it internally, I think I want to talk more about that stuff because I know other people struggle with things and it's just, you hide it because struggles aren't fun to give the world, right? Because you don't want people to see that weakness. But I'm also recognizing people need to see that. They need to be able to say, I'm not alone in this and, feel that comfort. So I don't want you to have to talk about something that you're uncomfortable talking about, but when you talk about the struggles that you've dealt with over the course of your career, without talking about, this specific incident and this specific incident, can you kind of give us an idea of some of the things that not just you, but student athletes in general are dealing with? I think sport burnout, where you lose passion for something, and still showing up for it and still giving your best energy. I think confidence and what leads to that and how you struggle with that anxiety and that confidence and performance. And when you're not measuring up and how to get back to that or even how to see yourself in light of that, those things I've definitely struggled with. I'm big on the identity and tying yourself to it. I see it time and time again where kids are so wrapped up. Who they are is so wrapped up in performance. And so I do have a heart for that because I've been there and it's not a fun place to be when it starts to seep into different areas of your life. Right. So priorities and I look at it as priorities, like where does your sport stand in your priorities? And it's all of those different factors. And I think you see it talked about a little bit more, like the mental health, even professional athletes. Right. But it is a passion of mine because I think life is so much bigger than a game, and why a game can be used for so many great things and platforms is so important to know who you are outside of it. And also, if you were to lose it, I mean, it's a superficial thing compared to, I'll say it, like eternity and all those things. And so, but it is hard, like being in it, it's hard, and I'm still like in it, and it can be really difficult, and it can be hard to show up and want to put on a good face, and then you don't want people to see the negative and let that affect other people. That's hard for me. It's like, even if it's negative for you, it's like, is it seeping into other people's experience? And that's like a fight for me because I don't want that. And I really want to give my best and give my passion, so. Yeah. But not to say that there aren't moments that I love too. It's just, it can be a fight. That's a part that people don't want to talk about, is the side of it. That is a fight. So.
And you're right. We live in a day and age of people aren't going on Instagram searching out negativity. And I say negativity, but struggles. They're not necessarily, if you're scrolling down and you see somebody it's like a heartbreaking story, it might get you if you know them. But if you don't know them, you kind of want, you subconsciously want to kind of scroll past because you don't want to bring yourself down. So we live in a world where 90% of the things that get posted are the positive aspects of someone's life, but the truth is they don't have a 90% positive life.
No, right.
But that's not going to get Instagram clicks.
About, right.
Right.
Well, and it's hard. It's hard to say, I failed at this, or I'm struggling with this, or this is my weakness. No one wants to talk about that. Right. And I think I see it with athletes. I see it in the athlete world. Like, you go on Instagram and you're seeing highlight reels and of their highlight tape, right. And everybody's got a highlight tape, and it's just a different, especially with the rising generation of social media, has changed the game, and your image and your brand is so important for your success. And so I think it's hard to want to be vulnerable and talk about, but it's like, if you sharing it, for me, there's also so much power in that, like power and testimony. I think people need to relate to the hard part, and they need to relate, like, you're not alone, you can still overcome, or whatever it is. So
many times I want to talk to you guys, I'll ask, well, when basketball's done, and do you have any thoughts of coaching? But I'm going to ask that in a slightly different way to you. The basketball coaching, maybe, who knows, when you might want to do that at some point in time. You might have kids and you go, I could coach my kids' youth team. But life coach, like that's a thing. And so whether basketball coaching is something you would ever want to dabble in, I'm not really worried about that right now. My thought is, could you ever see yourself as a life coach taking some of these experiences that you have and being the one that stands up in this very room and talking to a Liberty basketball team 5 or 10 years from now, or a Georgia basketball team 5 or 10 years from now, and saying, this is my life experiences, and don't fall into some of the mistakes I made, and at the same time, here's some things that I learned.
Right. No, I could. I definitely think that ties into my passions, and that's why I haven't been super specific about what I want to do yet, because there are a lot of different avenues and different ways to kind of have discussion about these topics, and that could be writing, that could be speaking, that could be a number of different things. So that's why I say, like, I don't have a very specific right this second, especially, I will say this too, for a lot of athletes, this is another struggle, is when you spent so much time with your sport, it's hard to think about what's next, because so long you've spent all your time. And I was talking to somebody that's in administration here, and she was telling me, it's normal. She's like, it's normal out of your sport to not, it's okay, you'll be okay, but it is normal for you to feel that way when you're nearing the end. Like, some people, like, when they come to college, it's for a specific, they're just working up to that whatever specific thing that they want to do. And so I'm not stressed. I'm not overly stressed about it, because I do have passions and I do kind of know. I do get worried sometimes, because I'm like, it's scary to think about some change. Change is not comfortable, but it's exciting in a lot of ways too, because I'm excited to dive into other passions that I have.
I don't want to say this has been a heavy conversation, but we have kind of tackled a few kind of heavier topics. So let's finish off on a light note. What's a Bailey family Christmas going to be like?
A Bailey family Christmas. Okay, so I love Christmas. Well, we always go to a Christmas Eve service at our church, our Christmas Eve, night before Christmas, and that's always, we have like a candlelight service, so I always enjoy that, because you have, obviously, the biblical side to Christmas, the reason for Christmas, and so I love to have that before going into Christmas Day. And then Christmas Day, I love food. I love food. And we have a breakfast casserole and orange rolls.
Well,
it's always...
Hold on.
Sorry, I'm
say that
fast.
I know, but when you're talking about food, I lean in.
You're locked in. Okay.
Breakfast casserole. Okay.
And orange rolls. And that's...
Okay. No.
Okay,
no.
Sorry.
Yeah. Tell me about the breakfast casserole, because you've got my attention. What is in a breakfast casserole?
Oh, it has like eggs, sausage. I don't know what's all in it. It's just breakfast. Is
there gravy in there maybe? Or?
I don't know. My mom makes it. Mom's a good cook. Shout out my mom.
Cheese in there?
I think so. I know it's like sausage and eggs definitely in there. And
is
cheese.
There any
it's like casserole.
Chance that your mom could send my mom that recipe?
Probably. I could. It's a thing. I don't know.
I'm volunteering my mom to fix.
Yeah, you're like my mom will make it. No, my mom's gonna cook, and we never eat that except for Christmas, so it's just fun. I love looking forward to waking up and having that breakfast casserole and orange rolls.
Okay, now tell me what an orange roll is.
I think you can just get them at Kroger. They're just like the rolls that are like, like cinnamon rolls. They're kind of like wrapped the same way, but they're just orange flavored and with icing.
Really?
Yeah, they're good.
I've never had that either.
So good. And then I love having a cup of coffee and watching. We all open, so like we'll come down, and usually my parents have gifts out laid out for my brother and my sister and I, and we just open our gifts, and then they watch us open our gifts, and then they have gifts for each other, and I'll like want to sit with my coffee and watch them open their gifts. I love seeing everybody's like who's getting what and giving my gifts, whatever it is. And then we do clues. That's another thing I really love. So my dad is like big into clues and traditions, and so we do for like a good present that someone's getting, they do clues to it. So like throughout the house, you have to figure out the clue and go to the next clue. So everybody has a clue.
It's like a Christmas escape room.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun though, because like you're trying to figure it out and we're trying to help each other, and yeah.
I don't think we've talked a whole lot about your family in the past, just maybe kind of around the edges. But tell us, you got your brother, your sister, ages, kind of.
Okay, so my brother, he's 20. He just turned 24. So we're a year apart. Yeah, so we're really close in age because we were always like one grade apart. And he's married. He got married last year.
What's his name?
Jackson.
Okay.
He got married last year, and he's youth pastoring at a church.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's what he's doing. And then my sister, she's a senior in high school. Her name's Avery. And she's about to graduate, so she'll figure out, like, I think she'll try to go to college somewhere, and I don't think she knows yet.
So there's a little bit of a gap between you and your sister.
We're like 5 years,
Yeah.
and so we had like a drop off, but my brother and I were always like super close. Like we had similar friend groups and things like that because we were always close in age.
He play ball?
He did. He played basketball and football in high school, and then he played at a D2 college called Emmanuel in basketball.
Okay, cool. So did you have any battles with him? Did that
We
maybe
did.
sculpt your... Because you've got a little bit of a reputation of maybe being tough to guard in practice, and maybe an elbow
like
kind of getting thrown
physical.
around every once in a while.
Definitely. I remember he would make me so mad. I used to just throw the ball and quit. Because he would make me so mad. And I just have this hothead side to me that would just want to throw the ball at him. But yeah, we would play. I used to try to make him, because it makes me better. It used to make me better to have him guard me, because he's good at walling up on defenders. I mean, offense, obviously offense. He's good at defense and walling up. And so he used to like push his body into me when I was playing, and I would always just like, it was hard to get around him because he would just push his body into me, and I used to get so mad.
Well, there was nobody in women's basketball that was going to be able to probably defend better than your brother was. So
Right. So it did help.
It helped you out.
But probably shouldn't have quit. But
did you ever actually hit him with the ball?
there's definitely probably times. I mean, yeah, I was probably mean. I mean, with siblings, like, you just get into it.
Younger sisters can get away with things too.
Yeah.
The youngest is going to get away with the most, but even you could get away with some stuff with your brother.
I could knock him out, yeah. But
my sister was
love.
9 years younger than me, and so she would, when she was about 5 years old, she would come in and want to play around, and then I was watching TV or a game or something, didn't want to, and then she would just like wrestling, just jump and land on top of me, and then what are you going to do then? So now I flip her over, and so I'm like, all right, I'll give you a hard time. And then she starts crying, and I get in trouble. So
yeah, it's like,
you guys have it made.
Yeah, we would just, and I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of aggressive sometimes, so I mean, we'd have our moments, we'd wrestle, whatever it is. We used to wrestle, things like that, so.
We jokingly talked about karaoke last year, and that you had your go-to song was Vanilla Ice, but does your family have any traditions like that? Is there that kind of goofiness, and turn a karaoke machine on, or you do anything like that?
I mean, we're just loud, and, just loud, and we have, like, Christmas with our cousins, and
game nights and stuff like that?
We always do, like, okay, I will say, this is funny. So, my cousins, my mom's brother and their family, they have 2 boys, and they're close in age to my brother and I. Like, one's the same age as my brother, and one's a year younger than me. So we're, like, all pretty close. And my dad and the boys, like, they'll get gag gifts for each other. So they'll get, like, different gag gifts. And one year, so, like, this is probably inappropriate to say, but I'm going to say it. Okay. One year they got him, like, a Speedo, and it was, like, we went to...
Who got who the Speedo?
Sorry, let me be specific. Okay, my dad got my cousin a Speedo.
Okay.
And it was... So we went to Europe on a trip together one year, and the Statue of David... You can use your imagination. So we got him a Speedo, basically, with a Statue of David on it because he had wore a shirt that whole trip. Like, so it's just things like that. Like, they'll get gag gifts for each other. And it's just so funny. Like, we just lose it. And they just get different gag gifts for each other.
You got to have a tight-knit family to get away with that.
And you kind of have to know the inside joke. Like, it was because he wore the shirt. It was just things like that. So you kind of know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's just funny because in our family, like, we know each other's personalities and...
Well, if for any reason I was going to be near Georgia, you better believe I would crash Christmas morning just for some of the casserole and to see who the gag gifts were. You guys sound like you have a lot of fun.
We do. It's a great time. I'm excited to go home. I can't wait.
Well, that was the perfect way to end this conversation because I think everybody's excited this time of year that we're getting close to Christmas. And I feel bad for the people that are listening to the podcast on January 2nd and we're talking about being excited for Christmas and they're going to be depressed because Christmas is over and they're going to go, well, I didn't have Christmas casserole.
I know. Now I'll put pressure on my mom. She's got to send out this recipe.
Yeah, make sure she watches the video before Christmas so that it's just like a little subtle reminder. Well, I wasn't going to make it this year.
No, she's making it. She knows. She knows. It is a tradition.
Okay. Well, if you can, like, freeze dry, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, like that, how you can put it in those containers that, like, seal it up. They're those
and bring it back
2 a.m. infomercials where they go, you can freeze dry anything, seal it up.
Yeah.
It'll last for 3 weeks.
I mean, you can freeze it, so yeah.
I'm just kidding. You don't really have to do that. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down if you did, but you definitely do not have to do that. Well, Jordan, I appreciate you coming on and putting up with me all these years. And we're talking like the time's up. You've still got half of a season left. And there'll be many more opportunities after game-winning shots to talk on the radio.
Yep.
But it's been fun kind of getting to know you over the years. And I think the fans have enjoyed your time here quite a bit as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.